How'd you like that stuff about the knife? What a story.
Look, you gotta expect that. You know what we're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife that night?
Yeah, and then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
A hole in his father.
An awful way to kill your father. A knife in his chest?
Just look at the kind of people they are. You know them. Look, this is open shut, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bang! Just like that. It's the element. They let the kids run wild. It serves them right.
There's no point in getting emotional about it. It's a question of evidence, not how we feel.
We all agreed that it would be hot.
And then our tempers will get short.
Well, that's if we disagree. But this is an open and shut, so let's get it done.
All right, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way, or we could all just vote right now and see where each of us stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's just see who's where.
Right. Let's vote now.
Right, let's vote.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
All right, all those voting guilty, raise your hands. That's 11 for guilty. Not guilty?
Hey, you're left field.
Okay, 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, he doesn't know.
In 6 days, I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe this is as simple as
I've never
ABC.
seen a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he is. Are we to vote on his
You
face?
sat in the same court and heard the same things I did. That man is a dangerous killer. You could see it.
Where do you look to see if a man's a killer?
Well,
No, I would like to know what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something I don't.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right, they proved it a dozen different ways. You want me to list them for you?
No.
Well, do you buy that stupid story he told?
Okay.
Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a kid off to die without talking about it first.
I think the kid's guilty. You could talk about it for 100 years and you still wouldn't change my mind.
I don't want to change your mind.
Then what do you want?
I just want to talk for a while. Look, this kid, he's been kicked around all his life. I think maybe we just owe him a few words, that's all.
All right, it's hard. Sure, it was hard for me. Everything I've got, I fought for. I worked my way through school. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you work in an ad agency and the big boy that buys the advertising walks in. We all know.
In my country.
Listen, I don't mind telling you this, all right? We don't owe that kid a thing. Look, you're not going to stand up here and tell us that we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say, and you know that.
I don't know that. What a horrible thing to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group
All right,
characteristic?
it's on Sunday. We don't need a
If we're
sermon.
going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
I may have an idea here. I'm just kind of thinking out loud now. But it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each talk for a minute or two, try it on for size.
That sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
Supposing we go once around the table?
All right, let's start it off.
Right, we'll start with you.
Well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was kind of obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean that nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. I just think he's guilty, okay?
No reasons. Just guilty. There's a life at stake
Okay,
here.
let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take that old man who lived right underneath the room in the apartment where the murder took place. At around 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he said that he heard loud noises come from the upstairs apartment. He said that it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, they saw the father's body falling. Then they saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house 15 seconds after that. Then they called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now what else do you want?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He can't even remember what picture he saw.
Right. That is absolutely right. Did you hear her?
He didn't have any ticket stub.
Who keeps their ticket stub from a movie?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
All right, just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed at night and can't sleep. It's hot, you know. Anyway, she gets up, she looks out her window, and she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
Wait, weren't you saying just a minute or two ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So?
Well, then let me ask you this. How can we believe her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
You're pretty smart, aren't
Take
you?
it easy.
Sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, they did take us out to the women's room where we looked through the windows of a passing train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I'd be able to, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see, he just admitted it.
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. What about you?
I don't know. Didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and the father around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
What does that prove?
It doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I never said it proved anything.
Anything else?
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We can talk about this thing all day, but I think we're wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm. He was picked up for knife fighting, and at 15, he was sent to a reform
And they sent him
school.
to reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fist.
So would I on a kid like that.
These kids, they pick on you. They try to beat you up for no reason. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out and then you... All right, keep going.
We're missing the point. Let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood or a broken home. We can't help that. Ghettos are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, so do you. The children who come out of there are potential problems for society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them, believe me.
I've lived in the ghetto all my life.
All right, wait a second.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. You know, maybe it still smells on me.
Now, let's be reasonable. I mean, there's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on, man, he didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
What did he mean?
I can understand this sensitivity.
Let's stop fighting.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a weird feeling about this trial. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never really led a thorough cross-examination. So many questions were never asked.
Well, it doesn't change my opinion on the guilt of the kid. I agree the defense counsel was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about facts?
So many questions were never answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife that fine, upright boy admitted to buying.
All right, let's get it in here. I'd like to see it again.
We
Ms.
already
Foreman?
seen it. I don't see why we have to see it again. What do you think?
He has a right to see exhibits and evidence. This knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
So let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted to selling it to
I
the
think
boy.
that we all agree that it's an unusual knife. It's pretty hard to forget something like that,
The
right?
storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. So why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he said.
Am I right so far?
You bet she's right.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket, that he never saw it again. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street and went up to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost a knife and that somebody else stabbed his father with a similar one. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. I mean, it's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life, and neither had this storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make you accept anything. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got it from a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost me $2.
Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied, and you know that.
Maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe he did lose a knife. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him at the movies was because he snuck in and he was ashamed to say so. Maybe he lied. Maybe he didn't. Do you think he lied?
It's a stupid question. Of course he lied.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Listen, there are still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
Right? Let's get going here.
What do you think of this guy?
What do you say? He's the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy's guilty.
I have a doubt in mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us that makes it possible for us to understand your doubt. I mean, there's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy
And the
shriek
one
it
across
out.
the L track, she saw it.
We know he bought a switch knife that night, but we don't know where he really was. The movies?
Earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way, and while that doesn't prove anything...
Still, you know.
All right, I have a proposition to make. I want you 11 to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there's still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
All right, let's do it.
You know what? Perhaps this is what's best.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty, 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 not guilty, guilty.
What do you think of that?
Who was it? I think we
All right,
have a
who's the
right
idiot
to
that
know.
changed their vote?
Is that a way to talk about somebody's
Who are you
life?
talking about? The life of the murderer or the life of the dead
I
man?
want to know who.
So do I.
Excuse me, but this was a secret
There are
ballot.
no secrets in here. And I know who it was. You changed your vote, and that's the most sickening
hold
thing.
it.
I
Right
agree
there.
with you that the man is guilty, but let's be fair.
Be fair. Be fair, that's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man where he belongs. And then all of a sudden we're paying attention to what? Fairy tales?
Just a minute.
Listen to
Let's
me.
try and keep this organized, people.
It isn't organized, but let's be civilized.
Please, please. I would like to say something here. I have always thought that a man was entitled to have his own opinion in this country. That is the reason why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
In this one case, I do agree with you. But what I'm ashamed to say is that in my own country...
Now what do we have to listen to? The entire history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree, but we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you why you changed your
I want
vote.
to know too. You haven't told us yet.
Okay, why do you think I changed my
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you guys. He didn't change his vote. I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry.
Maybe you would like to know why?
Let me tell you why.
The man wants to talk.
Thank you. This gentleman chose not to stand alone against us. Takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. He left the verdict up to us and gambled for our support. And well, I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If your little speech is over, we can all move on.
Look, buddy, now that we kind of cooled off, I got a little excited a minute ago, you know, and I didn't even get nasty. It's nothing personal.
Okay.
Supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't kill the father, then who did?
As far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to be talking about whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anybody else's motives here.
But who else would have had a motive?
The boy's father was old, maybe an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Everyone's a lawyer. Suppose you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
Well, this is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have.
A feeling? What are we gonna do? Spend the night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, they saw the father's body falling. Then they saw the kid running downstairs and out of that house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right, and let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
If that's not enough for you.
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like him? It's like talking to a wall.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving metro. The train had 5 cars, and she saw it through the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant detail.
What have you got to say about that?
I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me.
Well, it stands to reason.
Well, supposing you think about it. Here, let me your pencil. We're gonna play tic-tac-toe to pass the time. Here.
This isn't a game.
Wait a minute.
This is a man's
Who do
life.
you think you are?
All right, let's take it
I got a
easy.
good mind to walk around this table and bow to
Please,
one.
I don't want any fights in
Did you
here.
see it? The nerve, the absolute nerve.
All right, just forget about it. All right, they don't mean anything.
How about sitting
This
down?
isn't a game. Who does he think he is?
Weren't we talking about elevate trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
How long does it take for an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what does that have to do with anything?
No, how long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
About 10 seconds, yes.
All right, we're agreed 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
All right. A train passes a given point in 10 seconds. The given point is a window in which the killing took place. You can almost reach your hand out of the window and touch the L, right?
That's right, I tried it.
So,
So, the old man downstairs, he heard the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed
he
it.
heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." Wait, but have any of you, I want to ask you something. Have any of you lived near the L tracks?
Yeah, I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I mean, I lived right by the L tracks, and when you had your window open and the train went by, you could hardly hear yourself think. The noise was almost unbearable.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Just get to the point.
Well, the old man, he heard the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed
he
it.
heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." 1 second later, he heard the body fall. That's testimony, right? 1 second.
Right.
The woman across the street, she said she looked through the windows of the last 2 cars and saw the killing take place, right?
right, so,
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us?
A train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That's 2 seconds per car. The train would have been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, maybe more. So the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard
What do you
it.
mean sure he could have heard it?
With the train going by?
The boy yelled it out, didn't he?
Train makes a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling this old man a liar?
Something doesn't sound right.
It stands to
You're crazy. Why would he lie? He's got nothing to gain.
Well, you see, he's an old man with a torn jacket and he carried 2 canes. A man like this, he's never been recognized. Had his name in the newspaper. Nobody knows him after 75 years. It's a very sad thing. A man like this, he's got to be recognized. He's got to be questioned and quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important?
No, he wouldn't necessarily lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and saw the boy's face.
Well, that is the most fantastic story I have ever heard. Where'd you come up with a thing like that?
I'm not making it
You
up.
must be, because people don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the
Yeah,
truth.
what do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
My grandpa was like that.
I think we all understand now.
If you want to admit your family of liars, then that's all right by me.
Now that is too much.
He's born from a liar. He just told us
Please,
so.
he didn't say he
Didn't
was
you
a liar.
Just
He was just
admit
explaining.
That you were a
He
liar?
was just explaining the circumstances under which the old man might have lied. There was a
A
difference.
liar is a liar, and that's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
Everyone, please, we have our job and our duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
All right, is there anything else? Cough drop? No, thank you.
Anybody want a cough drop?
Come on, let's get on with it.
I'll take one. Thank you. Now, I think we've all agreed that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear him through anyway.
Well, supposing he did. This phrase, "I'm going to kill you." How many times have each of you used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to murder you. Kill him, Rocky. I mean, we say this all the time, but we don't really mean we're actually going to kill somebody.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was
One
murdered.
thing more. The phrase, "I'm gonna kill you," right? And the kid screamed it at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand
Don't
it.
try and tell me that he didn't mean that. Because anybody that says a thing like that in the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
But do you really think the boy would have yelled out something like that for the entire neighborhood to hear? No, I think he's much too bright for that.
Right? He's a thug. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? Where is the doubt?
There's a knife.
Fine.
He talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on, give us the reasons.
The old man, too. Maybe he didn't lie. But then just maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe the old man doesn't like the kid.
Well, if that isn't the end,
I believe that there's a reasonable doubt.
what are you basing it on? Stories that this guy, listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up all these points in court?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's the testimony, I believe.
And the old man swore to this. Yes, he swore to this only so he could be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference?
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
It's down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. We're supposed to send a man off to die because his bedroom was down the hall somewhere.
I thought you remembered everything.
No, I don't.
I don't remember that either.
Miss Foreman, can we get the diagram of the apartment in which the killing took place?
Why
here
don't we
again?
have them run the trial over just so you could get everything straight?
Please, the bedroom was down the hall somewhere. Do you know exactly where it was? Please, there is a life at stake here. Do you know?
Well,
Miss Foreman.
Yes, I heard you.
All right, what's this one for? How come you're the only one in this room who wants to see the exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one, too.
So do
And I
I.
want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found?
We're going to try to figure out how an old man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes could have walked all that distance in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of a thing.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive
He's
about it.
old. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything that he said? You know.
No, I don't. Maybe you know.
You wanted this?
Yes, please.
Listen, I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
All right. This is the apartment of the apartment in which the killing took place. Now, the old man was in bed in this room. He says he got up, went out into the hall, down the hall to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs, right?
That's the story. That's what happened.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall,
That's
right?
correct.
All right. His bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet, 6 inches. He had to get up out of his bed, grab his canes, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk another 43 feet, 6 inches, open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think that is possible?
You know that it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He did hear the scream, didn't he?
But he can only walk very slowly. Remember that?
You make it sound like it's a long walk. It's not.
For an old man that carries 2 canes, it is a very long walk.
Hey, what are you doing?
I want to try something. We're going to see how long it would have taken him. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I mean, perhaps if we could see it.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
I can't see any harm in it. It's foolish, but go ahead.
Could you hand me that chair, please? All right. This is the bedroom door. How far would you say it is from here to the door of this room?
About 20 feet? Just about.
All right, about 20 feet. That's a few feet more than the length of the bedroom. From here and back, it would be 40 feet. That's a few feet less than the length of the hall, right?
A few feet, maybe.
Listen, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think that you can do this?
We can't stop him.
Do you mind if I try? I mean, according to you, it'll only take me 15 seconds. We can spare that. Does anybody have a watch with a second hand?
I have.
All right. Stamp your feet when you want me to start. That'll be the body falling.
We'll time you from there.
Let's say the old man keeps his canes right next to his bed.
Right.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to get to 60.
All right, speed it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
Actually, this I think is even more
No, it
quickly.
isn't.
If you want me to speed up, I will.
Yeah, do.
Speed it up a little.
Come on.
Stop.
Right?
All right, what's the time?
15, 20, 35, 39 seconds exactly.
That can't be.
39.
Now that's interesting.
Now you know.
39 seconds. 39!
And the old cripple swore on his oath that it was only 15.
You know, he may have been a little bit off on the time. But 24 seconds off, that's just...
Far be it from me to call anyone a liar, but even allowing for quite a difference in the speed between the old man and you, why there would still be quite a
discrepancy.
It's my guess that the old man heard the body fall, started walking to his bedroom, heard somebody racing down the stairs, and assumed that it was a boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed. Now listen, you people, I've heard all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this display, it takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over this floor about some ghetto kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you've got some softies listening to you. Well, I'm not, and I'm getting pretty sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. Oh, and we're just letting him slip right through our fingers.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
I bet you'd like to pull the switch.
On a kid like that, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I feel sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What must feel like to want to pull the switch?
Just shut up.
You're a racist.
Shut up.
You want to see this kid die only because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
kill you.
You're a beast. You disgust me.
I'm gonna kill you. Let me go. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
You didn't really mean you were actually going to kill me, did you?
What are you looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
Do you know what? Nor do I.
Thank
We
you.
should not make this personal thing.
I think we should try another vote, Ms. Foreman.
That's all right by me. Does anybody not want to vote?
I want an open ballot. I want to call out our votes. I want to know who stands where.
All right. I'll call off your jury numbers. I vote guilty. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
You know what? I'll tell you all something. The real crime being committed is right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in going on anymore.
Why don't we have them take his chances with 12 other guys?
6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous, and we're never going to convince him.
At first, I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is a doubt.
You're never going to convince me that there's a doubt because I know that there isn't a doubt.
I'll tell you what, maybe we are a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now a perfect balance, so let's take it into the judge.
If there is a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
There's a doubt there in my mind.
Good. We go on.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
Well, he seems so sure, and he's made a number of good points while he only gets mad and insults everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murderer loose because one of the jurors gets angry when she thinks a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true.
Well, there is a doubt.
I don't think so. The track is straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the train would have made a low rumbling noise, and trains screech when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard a scream, which is high-pitched, and it is a tenement, and they have thin walls.
Good. Good, that's it.
And what if the old man was wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw? Please remember that there weren't any fingerprints found on the knife, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely, and it may have taken a second or two to get at a handkerchief to wipe away the fingerprints.
That seems reasonable.
Hey, wait a minute. He falls, and he ends up on his right side, the father, that is. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them. Even if it's right in the heart, he would have been lying there, like, moving around for a little bit, writhing, maybe.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him for about 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
But then would not the father have
The
cried
kid
out?
could have held his mouth.
That seems reasonable.
Also, there's another point we might bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away the fingerprints after murdering someone, while that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, to see if there are any other clues. It would just be for a second or two, but he would still look.
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't discuss quality when murder's involved.
Look, about this on the fingerprints. The kid wiped the fingerprints off the knife. What about the doorknobs? If I saw a guy and he's coming into my home and he's wiping the doorknobs with handkerchiefs as he came in, I don't know, I'd get an uneasy feeling. So I'm gonna guess he did that after the killing, and I think that too would take some time.
And whoever did murder the father, and I think it was the kid, still had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least 1 flight of stairs. So in view of this, it's quite reasonable to suppose that the old man did see the kid run downstairs.
And the old man feels the same way everyone else does. The life's at stake.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that he insisted that it was 15 seconds. He swore under oath that it was 15 seconds.
And we all agreed that it was 20 to 45 seconds later.
So you're now saying that the old man lied half the time and told the truth the other half. While this does tend to confirm the old man's story, you are now saying that the old man is a liar, and it is by your own admission.
That may be true, but the old man lies in part. But I think I'll change my vote once more. Guilty.
What about you? You.
I don't know. I want to talk some more. At first I thought guilty, then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
You?
No. I am now in real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here.
The vote seems to be about 9 guilty to 3 not guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I do not know what you are thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
That I do not live in a tenement, but it is close, and at night it is so dark and the bulbs are so dim that you can barely see anything. Do you guys remember how we looked out and couldn't see anything?
The police officers, they used big bulbs. One of them even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds. On this we all agree.
He was 100% wrong about the time. It took him twice as long.
Then could not the old man be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You're making that up in a thin air.
We're a hung jury, let's be honest about it.
You. Do you truly believe that there's no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, but then perhaps maybe you do not understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean, I don't understand it? Who are you to speak to me like that? They come over here running for their lives, and as soon as they take a big breath, they're telling us how to run the show.
No one here is asking where anyone came
I
from.
was born right
Or
here.
where your father came from.
Please, it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who came running here. Maybe they know something that we don't know. After all, we're not so perfect.
It's all right. I'm used to this.
No, it's not all right.
I apologize. Is that what you want?
It's exactly what I want.
All right, let's stop arguing. Does anyone have anything constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about the stab wound and how it was made.
Don't tell me we're going to start with that. They went over it and over it in court.
I know they did, but I didn't get along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down on the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. Somebody get up. I'm going to give a demonstration. And look, 'cause I don't want to have to do it again. All right. Is that 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, then let it be more.
Look out!
That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
All right, nobody's hurt, are they? Nobody's hurt?
No, nobody's hurt.
All right, then there's your angle, down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look at it and tell me if I'm wrong.
Down and in, I guess there's no argument.
Did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where are you getting all your information about how it's done?
It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stab?
No.
Well, then let me ask you this. This boy, he was sent to reform school. He was an experienced knife fighter, right?
Right.
Well, let me see this. Look at this. This seems like an awkward way to handle a knife,
What are you
doesn't
asking
it?
me for?
Wait, what's the matter with me? Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, the vacant lot across the street, too many of them. Switch knives came from the neighborhood where I lived in. Funny that I didn't think of it before. I guess you try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would have never stabbed downward. You don't use a switch knife that way, you go underhanded.
So he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if he'd ever have any experience with switch knives, and we all know the kid had a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. Give us not up mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
I don't know.
How about you?
Listen, I'll tell you all something. I'm a little sick of this thing already. I say we break it up and go home.
Wait, before we decide anything, I want to try to pull this together.
This should be good.
He has a right. Let him go ahead.
Do you want me to time this too?
Let's hear him out.
I'm in advertising. I'm used to the big shots pulling things together.
I want you all to think of this logically and consistently.
We have guilty.
Is this boy dumb or is he smart?
What do you mean?
Look, this is a boy who was sent to reform school for knife fighting. Now, the night of the killing, he went and bought a knife, a switch knife. Now, it would take a very dumb man to go kill a man, his own father, with a weapon that's commonly associated with
I
him.
agree, he's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, do you think he would make the kind of wound that an amateur would make?
I'm not sure I understand.
This kid, he's experienced with knife fighting, and at that moment, to murder someone is is an act of great emotion, of great hatred. And at that moment, the killer would handle it as best as he could, the weapon as best as he could. An experienced knife fighter would handle it as he was trained, underhand. And an inexperienced knife fighter would handle it overhand. But this boy, he's being very smart. So he's going to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. This boy, he's smart enough to wipe away the fingerprints, perhaps even smart enough to wait for the train to pass by to cover up the noise. Now, is he smart or is he dumb?
Wait a minute.
Hold up. The woman across the street, she saw the murder through the windows of the train, right? So couldn't someone in the train seen the murder too?
That's a possibility, but no one has that we know of.
Well, it would take an awfully dumb man to do the murder as the train went by.
Exactly, a very dumb man. He probably didn't even know the train was coming, but that murderer, he did it as best as he could.
I hadn't thought of that.
Is anybody still not sold on reasonable doubt?
I'm sold on reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I wanted more talk and now I've had it.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe that this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people lie. Well, I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. Let me tell you something. They don't need any real reason to kill anybody either. You know, they get drunk and bang. Somebody's lying in the gutter. Look, nobody's blaming them. That's just how they are. They're violent. Human life don't mean as much as them as it does to us. Where do you think you're going? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. Look, there are a few good things about them. Look, I'm the first to admit that. I've known a few of them who are pretty decent, but that's it. That's the exception. For most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What is going on here? I'm trying to tell you all something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to scratch your eyes out.
I'm trying to tell you.
Everybody sit down. What time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh,
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
well, what do you do when you wake up and you want to see the time?
I put my glasses on and look at the clock.
You don't sleep with your glasses on, do you?
Of course not. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
The woman who testified on trial, she wore glasses, didn't she?
Did she wear glasses?
The woman did wear bifocals. I remember this very clearly because of how strong they look.
Of course, bifocals. She never took them off.
I hadn't thought of that.
The woman, she said that. She testified that the moment she woke up, she looked out of the window and saw the killing take place. A moment later, the lights went out. Now, I don't think she would have put on her glasses to casually glance outside of the window. I think Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. But I say she only saw
How
blood.
do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does he know all these things?
Is anybody still not sold on reasonable doubt?
I'll always wonder, but there is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Anybody else?
No, I'm convinced there's a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
I don't care if I'm alone, I have a right.
Yes, you do.
Well, then I told you I think the kid is guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
Well, we're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have time.
You're the one who came up with all the arguments. We're gonna send a guilty man, a murderer, out walking and running in the streets. You've got to stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced there's a reasonable doubt in my mind.
You're not gonna intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's gonna be a hung jury, that's it!
Well, there's nothing we can do about that. Except for hope that maybe, in a few months, that you get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It does take a great deal of courage to stand alone.
But if it is a hung jury, there will be another trial, and we'll point these things out to the various lawyers.
They're waiting.
All right.
Not guilty?
Not guilty.